Hello guys, welcome. So this video will show you how to choose a best dog.
Okay, so I want to show you something. Bossy Kennels is a big kennel. Show cat this. I don't know if you know this, but look at this right here. And I'm gonna show you guys too. Look at that second pick, $20,000.
Jeez.
That's a real thing. So I'm using Bossy. She's killed it for 10 years. People literally say Bossy's such and such because of her brand and the work she's done. So people literally will build a whole page around Bossy's idea and keep promoting Bossy. So when they want a dog, they go back to Bossy. But if you were to go get a Bossy dog, this right now, I'm on their puppy section. This is Bossy Kennels page. I'm on their puppy section, which has been updated as far as 616, which is what, a couple days ago or yesterday. And just this puppy right here, if you want these two pups, you want a second pick Merle male, $20,000. That's a second pick for 20 bands. Now, let's think about your top 5 people. Probably your mama, probably one of your siblings, 2 or 3 maybe of your close friends, and think who out of all those people has $20,000 to give you or has $20,000 to spend on a dog. So she's gonna help us make sense. You want, let's say someone wants a $20,000 dog. Break this down. What do they have to do to get to the $20,000 outside of just let it go?
That's the one. Let it go. Let it go. I mean, first thing, if the dog's not an investment, you know what I mean, and if it's a pet, unless you got it like that, I wouldn't spend 20 grand on a dog. But I mean, getting to 20,000 really it means budgeting. Obviously, if you make 50 grand a year, if you make 80 grand a year, either way, that's not fiscally responsible necessarily to go.
That was good. Use the $80,000 a year and show them how long it would take them to get a $20,000 dog if they were to buy one.
So if we're talking about 80K, what do you break that down to monthly? I need a calculator. My brain's not working that well. Lord.
Okay, go ahead. A lot of people use calculators. I do too.
Okay, so we're talking about $6,700 a month. So realistically, in this market, 3K on rent, probably another 2,500 on other expenses, car payment, all that other fun stuff. So we're talking about out of 6,700, you're probably spending 55. You might be able to spend or save 1,200 a month.
So over 12 months, you've only got $12,000 and some change, right? Or a little bit more.
That's basically where we're sitting at. Yeah. So 12 months, but that's not talking about, we want 6 months of that into emergency expenses. You want 6 months of living expenses set aside at all times if you get unemployed, if something happens, if something comes up, an emergency, whatever the case is. So already, you know what I mean? We're talking about 5,500 times 6. We're talking about $33,000 is what you want in cash savings. So if you don't already have your 33K in cash savings, we're not saving for a dog yet. So once we've got that 33K, that's whenever we can start allocating this 12 every single month towards the dog. And so if we're talking about a $20,000 dog, we're talking about roughly 17 months for you to be able to save up enough money for a $20,000 dog, which again, we're talking about 4 months worth of living expenses on a dog. Yeah, we're talking about a year and a half.
And this is, so a year and a half if you're being responsible.
If you are extremely disciplined, and that's, I mean, 5,500, that's generous. That's, you don't go out every weekend, that's, you don't do the fancy dinners, that's every single penny that you have goes back into your savings account for a year and a half.
So then my thing becomes, no dog, to be clear, not even ours, is worth that much hassle. And I thought, you know, how do I keep from putting people out or putting them in a financial bind per se. When you see a dog and you feel you've got to have it, as she said, whether it be an investment, but at the same time, you know how many things go wrong when it comes to these dogs? Anything goes wrong. And then when you start talking about having a safety net, especially if you've got kids and family, everything else, tires go bad. Some go wrong. We got a fence there we got to fix out here. We fix the fence at Hunters. You go down the line, you probably gonna spend anywhere from $200 to $500 a month just in hazard costs, stuff that just happens, and there's nothing you can do about it because we don't know what's gonna happen day by day. So then the question becomes: is a $20,000 dog worth it? And are you that good to make people believe that they should spend $20,000 with you? And then if you do spend $20,000, you just saw her write up 17 months of you being committed, and that's if you make $80,000 a year. What's the percentage of
very modest life?
yeah, and live a very modest life. That means no chains, no Gucci belts, none of that stuff. So how many people would you say, and I mean, we could look up the statistics, how many people in America make $80,000 a year? Do you know?
In America, I don't know. That's well above the median, though. Well above it. I know in Dallas it's only about 100,000
people that make 80,000
or more. Yeah. In Dallas, it's only about 100,000.
And what's the population in Dallas?
Like 7 mil, 7.5 mil.
That's like 1% of the population. That's like 1% of the population even make 80 bands, and that's still being generous. And others might make it in another form or fashion, but they got to work 2 or 3 jobs. And not in 10 times if they're doing it, and even if they're making it collectively, they don't know where their money's going. That's the thing. They're literally living paycheck to paycheck. So here's the thing. When we're talking about credit, we're talking about dogs, we're talking about building the dog business, we're talking about opportunity. It's a lot of things that are very strategic. A year ago, when we were going to do our second breeding with Hot Shot, I told Justice, I said, hey, I know when the time comes, I won't have the $3,500 to give you right then and there, but when the pups are born, I'll pay you right out of that. Mind you, we had a lot of stuff going on from here to there. I already knew a year ahead of time, financially, I wasn't going to be able to just throw him $3,000. And even so much so, when we got to a point where we had, he says, hey, so how are we looking? Because I said, if Maya's not pregnant, then I can give you the money. Well, guess what? Maya was pregnant, and within 48 hours, I'd spent $2,000 alone on 2 different C-sections. My bad, $4,000 collectively on 2 C-sections. So, and not including the reverse progesterone tests and ultrasounds that we had to pay for. So I was well over $4,000 in 48 hours roughly, definitely within a week's time, just for the puppies to be born. Then you got to make sure they all live. Then you got to get deposits. Then you got to make sure you can sell them. Then you got to make sure they're healthy for 4 to 8 weeks. It turns into another thing by the time. Then we built our we built our own whelping boxes. Then we've been and bought other stuff to build that stuff. So it was never, I never counted the dollars we were getting. I was counting the money that we could invest to build this whole thing out, right? So if you make $80,000 and you're being modest, you're living modest, you potentially in 17 months, which is a year and some change, year and a half plus, could save for a $20,000 dog. Is there anything else people should know about budget? I mean, I go down a rabbit hole, but I love what they're doing. I love numbers. Because again, you guys watch, I've used my blackboard, and I was like, who told you you could sell a dog for such and such? I've already done these things. So now they both just add a whole different level of value because this is what they do. I'm just like, let's live in reality, people. People hit me up, hey man, I got these dogs, man, I can't really sell them. I said, what are you selling for? Oh man, I'll be willing to let them go for $5. I'm like, well, now I don't even like doing this. Who's the parents? Who's this? Who's that? Where'd you get it from? Nobody knows you. You go, I can sell a puppy for $5,000. I'm still not doing it. And we just started doing the 5 bands for females only. I sell the boys for less. So is there anything else they should know about budgeting and what it means to be modest, to think bigger, aka strategy? Because that dog at $20,000 better be worth it.
I mean, yeah, I think at the end of the day, first thing, don't buy a dog that's 25% of your salary. We're talking about 25% of your annual salary. So I mean, that's number one. But when you're talking about budgeting, it's about discipline. It's understanding what your actual spending habits are. It's factoring in those little things. You know what I mean? And it's understanding where you can save, because it truly is. So many people are seeing it right now in the job market. I hop on LinkedIn. It's depressing. Nobody can get a job. Nobody's hiring. You know what I mean? So those things are important right now, to have your safety net in place, to have your budget in place, to have some structure. That way, if and when something does happen, you know what I mean, you're prepared for it. You know, and again, a dog, it can be an investment. But like Trev said, you know what I mean, he sells dogs pet home for like $3 and $4 grand. You know what I mean?
And even when I looked at investment people, I still ask myself the question, what could I do for the dogs? I only came back into this breeding space because I thought how much I could impact changing the way people think and do things. I'm not rushing our breedings. We're not speeding up our process because people are itching. Jamarcus could pull up the computer and show you there are well over 1,000 plus people literally on our waiting list. I don't know where you're going to get that many dogs from, but I do appreciate everyone who took the time to fill it out, because it lets you know that in basically after 4 years of me really having 2 dogs and the work that we did over the past year, that we've done some things correctly. We've done some things where we've established a level of value based on the value we give, which brings you guys value. And you say, man, I just want one of those dogs, man. Even some of the people, they send me messages, man, Trevor, I don't want to bother you, man, but look at this dog, man. He's doing so great. I get the messages all the time. And that was the goal. I mean, the whole goal was to give them something that they could be proud of and build on. A lot of people looking for dogs that are a little bit more active, definitely more healthy, and can live well and do well. And trust me, I have to budget my time. So when she's saying, hey, we budget such and such, I couldn't do another breeding right now because it would take away from what I want to do with Hera long term. It would take away what Jamarcus could do with Junior. It'd take away from the time we've missed with Ego and Tron, and now the General. I so many things I want to do with dogs, and I assure you, breeding a bunch of more dogs ain't gonna solve our problems. It's pacing ourselves, bringing you value, teaching you how to love your dog, and as I always say, take care of the dog, and then being realistic. Reality is a fun place that nobody wants to live no more. But as you heard her say, ain't nobody hiring. Folks is struggling out here, and that's real. And it's been going on. I feel like we're still dealing with the collateral damage of 2020. Like that COVID really set some people back. It set and changed a lot of things, and I don't know how long it's gonna be before things get better. But, and that,
one thing I want to say, if you are saving your money, please do your due diligence when you're trying to buy a dog from us specifically, because there are people out there that are leveraging our videos, unfortunately, to bamboozle people.
Yeah.
So if you have not talked to him, you have not talked to Trev, please do not send your money to anybody.
Yeah.
Please, please, please. We're not doing another breeding until 2024, to be clear. All right, so if you send some money this year, then you're sending it to the wrong person.
Wrong person. It's only 4 people that I've collected deposits on from next year. We have 3 to 4 breedings planned, and I assure you, I don't ever hear from them. Why? Because they trust I'm going to do good business, and more importantly, when the time comes, I'm going to contact them, give them their dogs. But if you, as he said, it's sad because I get the messages, man, look at these people starting this page.